Welcome to the Only in Movies podcast. I'm your host, Onari, coming to you from Austin, Texas.
And I'm your host, Amato, coming to you from Buffalo, New York. And in this podcast, we break down scenes and discuss things that happen only in movies. Welcome back, listeners. How are you?
Hola. How are you all? Just checking in with you again for another week. And want to remind you to make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Only in Movies Pod, in order to find out what movie we will be covering on our upcoming episodes. Watch ahead and send us your suggestions for scenes that should make our Only in Movies list, and also for a chance for your suggestion to make it on the show.
All right, this week's movie, Hereditary, directed by Ari Aster, starring Alex Wolff, Gabriel Byrne, my guy, I love me some Gabriel Byrne, Toni Collette, and Millie Shapiro.
I'm a fan as well.
Gabriel Byrne, yeah, he got a lot of good ones under his belt. So a bit about this movie. When the matriarch of the Graham family passes away, her daughter and grandchildren begin to unravel cryptic and increasingly terrifying secrets about their ancestry, trying to outrun the sinister fate they've inherited. All right.
This was an interesting one.
This was different. This was a horror movie. I don't know that it was really scary. It had a scary moment. It was interesting.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, right.
When the movie came out, a lot of folks were definitely talking about this movie and how crazy it was. Scary, jarring. I think folks also disturbing.
Good old jump scares. They rear their ugly head again.
Yeah, there's not too many of them, but
there's a few.
There's
definitely a few. So this movie was made for $9 million.
$9 million, yep. Yes. And it grossed $80 million worldwide. Yes. So that's not bad at all.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I like these like small budget, and I'm a fan of A24, the production studio. I'm not sure if you've heard of them.
No, not at all.
They've been behind like a lot of these. They've been behind a lot of these like smaller budget or even like indie films that end up grossing crazy amounts of money or win awards, etc. But yeah, A24. When I see that on a movie, I usually know that they deliver.
It's gonna be quality. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's another movie that they've done?
So A24. I don't know. Actually, did you ever see the movie called The Green Room?
Of course not. No.
What's under they did one with Ryan Gosling called Driver.
I think I might have seen Driver.
Yeah, Driver.
Maybe. I know the Buju Banton song Driver. Do you know that song?
No, I don't know that. So you got me there.
Song. I bet you it's better than the movie.
I can't say.
I would bet $100 that the song by Buju Banton, Driver, is better than the movie Driver, objectively.
Yeah, I haven't heard it. I'm sorry, but Driver wasn't that crazy. The other ones that I could think of that are but a lot of them are horror. It Comes at Night. Did you hear about that movie?
No.
Obviously the movie Eighth Grade, which came out in 2018.
All right, let's go on to the movies. The Only a Movie list. So the Only a Movie list is when we list our scenes. Yeah, I've heard. I didn't watch Ex Machina. I know of Ex Machina, but I know of Ex Machina before it was a movie. Yeah.
Boo.
Anyway, the Only a Movies list. So this is where we discuss scenes that could only happen in movies. Each of us pick 2 to 3 scenes depending on the movie. Try to see if we have any overlap, if there's scenes that we both picked. So I think it's important to say we know this was a horror supernatural movie, so you got to give it some leeway.
Right.
But there was still a lot of ridiculousness for me, at least, in this movie. So this was high on the ridiculous relativity scale.
This is high for you?
It was up there. There was some pretty ridiculous moments in this movie. So go ahead. You go ahead.
All right. So my first scene is the decapitation scene. And this one I wasn't 100% sure whether I wanted to add it here, but I ended up still putting it on here because just the way it carried, the way that the scene happened and then the occurrences thereafter, I was like, come on, there's shock. So that's another reason why I was torn whether to add this. There's definitely shock from, when things happen. Very, very dramatic things, very violent things. But the way that the brother, who was actually, his name was Peter, and he was played by Alex Wolff, the way that the brother reacted to that and just went home, went to bed, and like woke up the next morning, like, all is good.
I don't know if he woke up like all is good.
Not all is good, sorry, but
I definitely don't, and I don't think he went to bed either. I think he's, in my opinion, he stayed up all night and, played that scene over. So let's expand a little bit about the scene. So he's driving down the road with his sister who's gasping for air in the backseat. He opens the window, she leans out, there's a deer in the road. He swerves to avoid the deer in the road. A whole ass deer.
Dead. It was already
In the
dead.
middle of the road. Whole.
Yes.
Now, I've hit a deer with my car before, literally, right? Even when you hit a deer, it doesn't just usually fall just down in the middle of the road like that. Fine. He swerves around the deer, and then she hits her face on a pole, and she's decapitated. So continue.
Yes, that's what happens. And then, the brother stops, and he's kind of in shock a little bit about what just happened. And then he just decides to keep on driving and drive all the way home, get out of his car, go inside the house, like I said, lay down in his bed, and maybe he didn't go to sleep. We don't see what happened throughout the entire night. But yeah, I guess he didn't want to face it at all. So I found that scene to be a little ridiculous because there was a lot that could have happened even before the decapitation. The way he handled it was also a little bit ridiculous. He decided to drive all the way to the hospital, not call anyone.
So you're stepping on my scene right now. So my scene, I could, if you don't mind, if I just jump into it.
Go ahead. Yeah, I think this is a little bit of overlap here.
My scene is actually before that, though. So my scenes are like 3-4 back-to-back scenes leading up to your scene. Because I think there was just like a series of ridiculous things that happened. I'm going to cover at least 2 scenes right now of mine.
Yeah, I have that same thing right after this, so go for it.
So there's pretty much 4 characters in the movie. The son, Peter, the mom, Annie, the dad, Steve, and the daughter, Charlie. And Charlie dies pretty quickly in the damn movie. So we're pretty much dealing with these 3 characters for the most part. Then there's Joan, who we'll discuss in a second. Now, Peter says, Mom, can I take the car? I want to go to a party. She sends the girl who does not want to go to a party, has no desire to go to a party with her brother. She has no desire.
That was a come on fan for me. I'm like, why are you forcing your younger daughter to go to a party with your older son? So she did not look like a very old mother or something like that. This is current times. She should kind of understand the different scenarios that a younger kid will be in compared to, and she even alludes to it by referencing drinking. So that scene pissed me off.
So it became a full scene for me because when I was little, so my brother and sister are my brother's 10 years older than me, my sister's 8 years older than me. So when I was little, my brother would try to go out, like he'd be like, I'm going to the store. He'd be like sneaking off to a party, and my mom would like, we have to bring your little brother. So so he'd bring me in and leave me at the door with the person who searched people. Because I come from a place where even if you know everybody who you're inviting to the party, you still want to search everybody just in case.
Just to be sure,
Right.
It never hurts.
Strangers wander up. Yeah. Just be safe. You might let them in with it, but you just want to know who got it. He would leave me at the door and then come retrieve me after, his partying. I was always well taken care of. I can't complain. But that's why it became a full scene to me.
See, so I have a similar story. 3 years apart from my sister. She wanted to go out. I was a chaperone, essentially. I had to go with her wherever she wanted to go out. If it was like after hours,
But you're the younger chaperone, right?
I'm the younger chaperone. Yeah,
because you said 3 years apart. You didn't specify. Yeah, right.
You're right. 3 years younger. So that man, I just got to hang out with all her friends pretty much.
Right, you became cool.
Everywhere we went.
You had a good little gap there. You could still be cool in her circle. There's no way 10 years I'm cool in my brother's circle.
No.
Until we're at least 22, 23, I can't be cool with my brother's circle. I'm a kid to them that entire time.
Yeah, it's a big gap. You got some college students versus middle school. I was between like middle and high school.
Right. Exactly. So let's take that to the next part. He takes his sister to a party, right? He knows as soon as there's pecans at the party, his sister's allergic to nuts. So you're like, this is not going to go well.
Nope. That was, I wouldn't even call it foreshadowing. That was just in your face, pretty much.
Right. There wasn't a shadow or anything, right? So then he goes to kick it to Shorty, and he's like, how's the party? I have trash start. And then he says, I have really good weed. And I was like, tennis clap. That was a good follow-up. If she don't want to deal with you after that, she don't want to deal with you.
Yeah, I thought it was a little meek. It was like, I have no personality, but I have weed.
Right. Hey. You gotta do what you gotta do.
It's something.
Yeah, right. So then they're giving out cake. He knows his sister has allergies, right? He doesn't say, hey, are there nuts in this cake? I've done some irresponsible things to smoke in my life. Leaving my younger, older, any sibling that I know has allergies in a situation where they could be exposed to that is just ridiculous. And I was just like, really like, okay, they're really pushing it for me. And then to get to your scene, he doesn't fucking call an ambulance. So I said, well, maybe he doesn't want to call an ambulance because he doesn't want to blow up the spot of the people who's having the party. Go
Right.
next
That's
door.
understandable.
Go next door and call an ambulance. Say me and my sister were walking home and something happened to her. Driving to the hospital. How far is the fucking hospital?
That was my thing. It looked like he took a while to get to the house in the first place. At least 10 minutes, and 10 minutes for someone that's asphyxiating is a little bit a long time. I say, especially to go all the way to the hospital. What I didn't understand, he had the option to call them and say, "Hey, I'm on the way to the hospital. Can you meet me somewhere? Can you meet me on the highway? I'll be driving there or whatever."
So here's another thing. You have a house full of people. You know how common it is for somebody to have an EpiPen? You say, "Hey,
I thought about that. I don't know
any-
how common it is.
It's
I mean, he could have tried it.
Right. That's my point. I said you could at least ask. It could be. It's depending on who you're hanging out with. It's relatively common. It's people carry.
I mean,
EpiPens
allergies
now.
are pretty. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
a nut allergy
I
is
think because
really
they're
common.
easy. Yeah, no, that's what I was gonna say. Nut allergies are common, and there's also now the portability of EpiPens. So yeah,
An EpiPen. That situation would have been done in a second. We would have had a movie. Well, we would have, but it would have ended differently. One thing, did you notice as they were driving, the symbol was on the light post? The recurring symbol that they showed through this movie?
So I didn't notice that on first watch. I did notice it now, and they were actually sprinkled all over the movie.
All over the movie. So that was my scene that led into your scene. I would just, that whole, the family did poor decision making leading up to allowing her to go to a party, her brother just abandoning her at a party, knowing she has an allergy. It was just, again, bad decision making to just going home and just getting in bed and not telling anybody. I could understand. I don't know though. Do you wake up your parents? I mean, I hope I'm never in this situation. Well, I'm too old to be in this situation now. But do you wake up your parents and tell them that? Like, how do you even approach that or start breaching that topic? So
I gave him a little leeway because I understand the shock factor, but he didn't call anyone. So like maybe you don't call your parents because you don't want to face them yet, but he didn't call 911.
Right.
He didn't even pick up her head. Like, it was, it was like he just left.
Right.
It was a lot. It was a lot to let slide. We're like, no help, no proper planning by the parents, or that's another thing. Why is this little girl walking around all the time without an EpiPen?
100%.
She should have that in her pocket.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah. Yes.
Because that's also happened in the beginning of the movie. They're like, "Oh, is that chocolate? We don't have our EpiPen." And I was like, why? I was like, why don't you have the EpiPen?
That's
why
like your
doesn't
job,
she have it?
guys.
Right.
So what's your next scene?
So my next scene was a seance scene with Joan at her home.
Can I say, did you notice all the foreshadowing before that scene too about the seance scene coming?
Foreshadowing, like
well, because she received the postcard about the seance. Mm-hmm. Yes, and as soon as I saw that, and as soon as I saw her go anyway, I was like, oh, she's going to the seance.
Yeah, it was a lot because so I have two seance scenes back to back that I want to cover now because they pretty much happened back to back. So I'm kind of just mixing them together because there was a lot of lack of proper behavior, I would say, in both of them. So the first seance scene is with Joan at her home. Annie bumps into her. First of all, why she would decide to go to someone's house to do a conjuring is beyond me. If somebody just described to you what they saw, the fact that they were speaking to beings of other places,
that had nothing to do with you, and you.
Right. I was like, okay. And the whole time her face is very like
I
cynical.
think that's important though. It depends on what your background is. That's something that you might just be like, oh, that's some normal shit. Let's go. Conjure away.
It didn't look from her face that this was some
I agree with
shit.
you. I agree with you.
So yeah, so that was the beginning of it. All right, so fine. So she goes. Once shit starts popping off in that house, I'm outie 3000. All right, I'm out. I'm not waiting for explanations. She just sat there and took it all, and then after that, she stuck around even longer to have it explained about how she needs to do it in her house. It's like, by the way, here, take this recipe with you. Maybe you could try this at home. Like, no, I'm good. I'm all good.
So take a step back. She randomly ends up in the parking lot, right? She's just randomly in the parking lot. It tells her, you have to come meet my medium, right? When she gets there, it's just the two of them. And she doesn't go, where's the medium? Is there a medium here? She's like, oh, you're the medium. Why didn't you mention that? You kind of left that out.
Not shady at all.
Right. Red flag.
And then when she sits down too, she's like, "Oh yeah, just we're gonna do this. It's gonna be real quick." She's talking all matter of factly. Yeah, this is, you need something to connect with. Annie looked uncertain the entire time, and she sat there and just let it happen.
So I thought, based on that too, the whole you brought up that she gave her the incantation to say.
Yep.
Yeah. So she gave her, first off. Again, if you're not never dealt with like the spirits and stuff like that, that might not be like red flag to you. That's red flag number 2 to me. You're just gonna give me some information to say and repeat. That's not even necessarily in the language I understand to say over every member in my house, and you emphasize my son.
Yeah, she snuck it in there. I caught that, but it wasn't, to be fair, and I caught it on second. It wasn't too much of an emphasis,
but it was an emphasis.
Yeah, but she tried to make it seem first of all, why everybody needs to be in my house. I don't understand that either.
So like she didn't just go down to like a botanica and get some candles.
No,
she took this like a couple levels above that, like.
Right, it wasn't a Ouija board. It was
right. That I agree. She was way too trusting throughout that whole scenario. I like the way they did the seances. They were creepy. They were definitely, you definitely felt the intensity. I don't even know what the word is. You definitely felt the creepiness, I guess, is the best word to describe it. Yeah, but I don't even think tension's a really good word. It was just creepy.
It was just an ominous feeling.
Thank you. Perfect. Because you felt the ominous air going around about it, and it wasn't. Yeah.
There were a couple of scenes where, and I give that credit to the movie. It focused a lot on the soundtrack and also the tension between the family members.
Yes, because Steve was sick of her shit.
Yeah.
We gonna talk about Steve.
They were all sick of each other. I was like, this family got problems. But we all know,
why? Yeah,
why they had all problems.
They all have some. At least the Hereditary family has some mental health issues in their family. You could tell. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, and she mentions as much when in that a therapy session. But we also now, at the end of it all, know that what manifested as mental issues was likely precipitated by the cult.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so that was the interesting development once you saw like how far back it had been affecting the family when she divulged that. I was like, oh wow. At first you think, oh yeah, she's telling you the story, but then you kind of figure it out, like they've been preyed on.
This is all part of the plan, right?
Yeah.
Which was a really intricate plan.
So yeah, 2 seances, too much in my opinion. for Annie.
Well, for Annie, but not for the movie, because they were our plot device to get the information we needed to get.
Yeah.
So quick break. Gabriel Byrne, that's my guy. Do you have a favorite Gabriel Byrne movie? Mine's gonna be kind of obvious. Everybody could probably guess my favorite Gabriel Byrne movie.
I think mine would probably be End of Days.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Mine's Usual Suspects.
Oh, nah. I don't love Usual Suspects.
Okay. This again. Peace out, everybody. Have a good night. I'll see y'all next episode.
It's a good movie, but I just feel like it's a great movie.
End of Days is better than Usual Suspect?
I didn't say that. Did I say that? Putting words in my mouth. You said, what's your favorite Gabriel Byrne movie?
That's true. He was in Stigmata too. You ever seen Stigmata?
That's a great one too. That was actually all around the same time.
I love the concept of that movie. I thought that concept of Stigmata was such a brilliant concept.
And you know what's funny? End of Days and Stigmata were like interchangeable to me because they both were 99. They both have Gabriel Byrne, and obviously it's a similar like scenario or similar concept of like the devil, End of the Days, etc.
You knew off the top of your head they were both in 99, or you looked it up?
No, I know End of Days because I've seen it 100 times. Okay. And I know that Stigmata came out at the same time.
Okay.
All
right. Well, fine.
That's probably why
This is why you do this.
That was like the
That's why I do this today.
That's probably why.
To this day.
That's probably why I associate my favorite movie from David Byrne being that, because I think those were like around the same time when I started really watching movies heavy, and they were the same year. I watched both of them on VHS a lot. we didn't get that many tapes, so when we got some, they got a lot of play.
Right. My movie. I don't even want to go into it. All right, fuck it.
Which one?
My movie that I watched on VHS probably more than any movie in history is La Bamba. It's also why I hated
La
flying.
Bamba?
Yep. It's also why I hated flying. I fucking love that movie. I don't know if I still love that movie. I haven't seen that movie in probably 20 years, but when I was a kid, there's actually tapes of me going through the lines of the movie. Like like audio tapes of me going through the lines of the movie because I love the mama so much.
See, that's funny, and I think is what you mentioned is now I recognize the end of days is shit, and
nostalgia, right? Okay. We ended off on your scene because that was a double, so I'll go into mine. My next scene wasn't a big long scene. I just thought it was a little more than a come on fam. It was when the cemetery called the dad to tell him that the grave site was desecrated, and he didn't even bother to tell the mom. So like, it's only been a week. There's not even like a headstone yet, and it's already been desecrated. He just tells her, there's just some billing crap. Don't worry about it. I thought with this, the sensitivity of your parent passing, you would want to know, especially like what level of desecration occurred.
That is a good point.
He didn't even ask, like, what happened?
Right. And my thought went immediately to, oh, we know she does not exactly have love for her mother based on that eulogy. I thought that eulogy was less than moving.
And he has some words for people in this movie.
Yeah.
We could do an Andy's greatest hits section.
I mean, she's been through a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought because of that, he did. So we later find out he was trying to spare her feelings. I thought it was just because he really thought she wouldn't care.
Oh, really? Is that how you took it?
I took it as
it's not even that big a deal to her.
It's not a big deal to her. I don't want to bother her with it. Not that she'll be like emotionally affected by it.
Okay. So I just thought that whole scene, he didn't ask any follow-up questions, anything. Like, what happened? What if they left a big letter and said, we're going to come kill your whole family? Something, anything you might want to know. He just, all right, okay, bye.
It was a lot to just
brush off.
Yeah, brush off. So my next scene deals with Annie when she's at home and she finds a body in her attic. So she goes up the stairs, she's like a smell. I think she was trying to go put away a photo album. She goes upstairs. First of all, she opens the ladder and there's flies everywhere. I mean, red flag. There's flies and a stench. She goes upstairs. There's a dead body. She goes downstairs and waits for someone to come home. I was like, what? You have confirmation that your mom is into some cult shit. You just found a body and you realize that they've been infiltrating your life because Joan, who you thought was a random occurrence, friend, is actually part in your mom's cult. And you're still hanging around there, not involving police, and then letting your family come home to be in this house that someone was in.
Whose body did you think it was?
No, I knew it was the grandma when as soon as they showed.
I knew it was the grandma, but then when it didn't have a head, I was like, oh, it's Charlie. Then I was like, oh, nope, it's the grandma again.
Yeah, right. And I made the connection between the desecration and then the body being there.
Yeah, right. Well, I knew it was the grandma from when she saw the flies come out of there. I was like, oh, there's gonna be a body there. Yeah, right.
I didn't know about the whole candles and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, that was extra. And the symbol. Dress and all that.
Yeah, and the symbol and blood and all that. I was like, this is a lot for you to just want to tackle on your own here, buddy. Like, you might need some professional assistance.
How did the people get in the house and do all of that without anybody noticing?
It's a lot to ignore and want to tackle on your own. Like I would have been in a hotel so fast.
Right. Like, the house is sold.
That house is sold. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I'm getting rid of this shit. Burn that motherfucker down for all
I'm good, right? I got insurance.
Yeah, so that scene was pretty bad. I'm like, I was glad at least the dad, when he came home, he was like, why the fuck haven't you called the cops?
And she's like, I don't want to call the cops. I'm like, what the fuck?
She's like, yeah, I'm out. They can't help us. Whatever. Like, oh, okay. One more moment, please. They can help me.
Get away from your crazy ass.
Yeah, that was my last scene.
So I did my last scene. So now we'll go into come on fams and funny stuff. Come on fams, and just see, we were just like, come on fams, this doesn't make any sense. So I have a few of those. My first one was when Charlie's in school and she steals the scissors to cut off the bird's head.
Yeah.
First, she just walked up, stole scissors, walked out of school, and cut the bird's head off. Like, where was the teacher? They weren't like safety scissors or anything. It was very much teacher negligence, as we've seen throughout these movies that we've watched. Teachers just don't care.
Yeah, or I mean, you should probably still keep track of your scissors.
Right, either way, right. Even if they're safety scissors, you could do damage with safety scissors.
I mean, she didn't exactly make it low or anything, but she just went ahead and chopped the pigeon's head in broad daylight.
So she could go home and make a Frankenstein monster.
Yeah, that was her character.
It was dark.
Charlie's character was, yeah.
I think everybody in this movie did a great acting job.
Oh yeah, they killed it.
Especially Annie.
It was-
Annie did her thing.
And fun fact, through my research, the director, Ari is his name.
Wrote the screenplay.
Ari Aster. Yeah, this is his directorial debut.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Yes, and he had a lot of interesting methods to get the acting to the level that it was. He would have like the actors Millie and the mom Tony just actually go out in character, like buy clothes for each other, for like the daughter, go out and have lunch together in character.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then the same thing with like Gabriel and Alex. They've worked together before, so they already had some
a rapport.
But then he also had the family kind of interact in character for like 2 to 3 hours at a time. So I was like, it showed. I mean,
yeah, no, they
in
had
the movie itself, the tension, the disdain was there.
People,
right? So I think it definitely came across, and it's a testament to his style. It was pretty impressive.
So another one of my come on fams was when Peter is sitting down under the bleachers, I guess, smoking with his friends.
Yeah.
It took them forever to realize that something was going on with him. So I'm thinking, if I'm doing drugs with you, I want to be observant of your reaction to the drugs. Because if your reaction isn't the normal reaction, I might not want to do the drugs anymore. Maybe it didn't get to me. It wasn't my turn to do the drugs. So I could back out. So I'd have been paying a little more attention. He was like having a whole borderline seizure, and somebody eventually was like, hey man, you okay?
Yeah, even when he started going off, they still took a little bit to actually take action and ask, are you okay? They just kind of stare at him for a little bit, like, he doesn't look well.
Right.
Like, yeah, you should probably do more than ask, are you okay?
And nobody stopped smoking. Nobody looked at the spliff and said, hey, maybe this caused it. Maybe we should be concerned.
Right. He's telling you, like, it's like in my throat. And again, everybody's like, worst friends ever. One of my come on fams, when Peter is in the house and he's texting his friend and he's upstairs, he's smoking out of a bong inside of the house itself, and blowing it out the window. I was like, come on. I've seen this also in a lot of movies where the kids apparently, they're smoking marijuana inside of the house that their parents live in. And I was like, if you have any experience being anywhere near marijuana, it has a smell.
a pungent smell that even if you have a window open, really doesn't do much for you.
Right, unless that window is like vacuum sealed to go only out.
So freshman year of college, speaking of vacuum sealed, I won't say this was me, but people I know, right? They used to take duct tape in the dorm rooms and put it around the seams of the door so smoke wouldn't get out the room. So whenever you would hear doors open on the floor, you would hear
that's the sound of drug use.
Drug use has just completed.
It might as well announced over a loudspeaker.
Those people were terrible. I'm glad I didn't hang out with them.
So yeah, that was funny. And my last come on fam is when the husband comes home and she's flipping shit. She being Annie, the wife. She's flipping shit about finding a body in the attic and how he has to go see it. And believe me, and to be fair, she's pretty erratic. Like, she's not exactly even keel when delivering this news. But my thought was, he starts giving her shit over what she's talking about. She's like, oh yeah, in the attic.
And he calls her sick. He says, you're sick.
Yeah. He's like, you're sick. I was like,
because he thought she did it.
Well, he hadn't made the connection yet.
But he heard body and he was like, you put that body there.
After he saw it, though.
No, even before. As soon as she said body, she was like, you fucking did it, you crazy chick. I'm sick of your shit. This is it.
He made up. Yeah.
That's my point. I think
I was like,
as soon as he heard body, he was like, oh no, nope, I'm done.
I thought he didn't believe her, and I'm like, first of all, why wouldn't you believe her if you know that the grandma's grave was desecrated? And they dug out the grave. It wasn't like they didn't like dig a little hole.
Right, no, they took the body.
Get to the jewelry. They took the body and casket. So he knows that body is no longer there. And for her, of all people, to just start talking about a body missing, I wouldn't exactly jump immediately to my wife took it out of the ground. That's a bit of a feat to take a body out, dig a body out, store it somewhere, I guess.
But see, you're going too far into the thought. He didn't have time to think about all of that. She was like, there's a body right now. He didn't start thinking, well, you think she might have took it and then hid the body? He's like, no, this crazy chick went and got a body from somewhere, or she killed someone. She finally fucking did it. She probably lit their asses on fire with some fucking paint thinner. Cause that's her thing.
I've always maintained this through all my movie watching. That's another thing. I'm always when I watch a movie like this, I'm like, do these people not watch movies?
Right.
Because it's always like the story is happening in a vacuum where they've never heard of these tropes or of these scenarios before, so they act completely ignorant. Like the one thing from watching movies and just in general is even the craziest person that's telling you something, if you verify it and it's true, then you got to think about what else that they're saying might be true. Like, yeah, they might be erratic, but you went upstairs and there was a body. Right. So she, as crazy as she is. So my thing is, after you confirm something, then maybe you stop being so incredulous and you start trying to figure out what's going on. But no, he went the other way. He was like, you know what? I believe you even less now. You did it.
I ain't got time for this. Here's the divorce papers. I'm gonna need you to sign right here, here, and here. Okay?
Yeah, it was a little upsetting seeing him take that route. I'm like,
So my come on fam is her job. She lost her mom and her daughter in a relatively short amount of time, and her job keeps calling her like, so you gonna finish that assignment? So when can we expect this to be? So you coming in tomorrow?
So you left me on red?
Yeah, I think that was a little bit, they were like pushing it. Like, I'm good. I had to quit. I know it's not her job. She essentially is an artist, but I'd be like, just don't call me no more.
So yeah, get off my dick. All right?
My last come on fam, since we were talking about the paint thinner, was she almost lit her kids on fire with paint thinner and matches, and she's not under investigation by CPS regularly.
Being monitored.
Yeah, like yes, yeah, yes, absolutely.
That's sleepwalking. I got to start using that.
She said, "Oh, I'm just sleepwalking." That's great. You almost killed everybody and lit them on fire, and then I thought,
but it's sleepwalking though.
and then she created, like, not too long after she tells that story, she creates a model of the accident from her view of when Charlie gets her head chopped off, and I was like, that was a little much freaky. And then like when
she did that's when I noticed she was kind of falling apart a little bit, or something was wrong with her, aside from what the actual cult was doing to her.
Well, and then at the beginning they had the when they first start showing when they first go into the dollhouses and they have the little laundry basket. Yes. I was like, damn, that's really. I know a guy who used to do, I can't remember where, but he used to do miniatures. He was an IT guy, but on the side he would do miniatures for dollhouses and stuff, and he made munties.
Yeah. I thought that was actually a pretty cool concept, like having their house all replicated. Like in the beginning scene when they actually zoom into the replica house, you can't tell the difference between the room and the actual scene. That was dope.
That was really cool.
It was pretty cool. And the director Ari, they actually had to make the entire house in a soundstage to get that to happen.
Oh wow, okay.
So yeah, that whole place was created so that they can take parts of the walls away and make it look like the model houses. You know what I mean? From that angle. That's why you sometimes see them walking through. You see the camera follow them through a wall to a different room. It's because the entire house was a soundstage, and I was like, God damn.
He still only spent $9 million, so he good.
I know, right?
He was all right. Okay, so some of your funny scenes.
So my funny scene, one of my first one was, and I touched on it a little bit, but that eulogy in the beginning of the movie, I was laughing. I was like, I imagine it's odd to say nice things about someone that you might not have many nice things to say.
Yes.
About, yeah, and
especially if you're the one tasked with doing it, where you're like, oh, I got to do it. Damn, I don't even really like them.
I love when she went. If you had your own opinion, then she'll let you know that it was wrong. I think you and I had discussed previously eulogies where people actually do go even more towards the negative side and actually just talk complete shit. It's like a shit airing session versus the actual eulogy.
The airing of the grievances.
Yes. So yes, I was thinking about that when I saw that opening scene. I was just like, sheesh.
So that leads me to a funny, interesting tie-in to my actual life. Not too far after that scene, she opens the photo album. Or she's looking at the photo album, and then she finds the book, Notes on Spiritualism, and she finds a note from her mother.
Yes, right? I have that note.
So I had a similar experience in my life. So my mom passed away, and not too long after she passed away, my dad sends me a box full of stuff. And you're from New York City, so you when you were growing up, you had those stupid autograph books.
Yes, for the middle school, high school.
Yeah, so elementary school for me too. So elementary school, middle school, high school, I had the little autograph books, and your friends, you would fold all the pages. I always had to have a girl do it for me because I was never good at that stuff. I'd be like,
I still have mine folded that way too.
Please
make it into like a Pac-Man type.
Yeah, please do it for me, sweetheart. They would do it for me. So my dad sent that from, I want to say elementary school. I'm pretty sure it's elementary school. So I go out one night and I get a little inebriated. I'm like, I'm gonna come home and read it, and it's gonna be hilarious. So I'm reading it live. You know, people are like, you're short, you're never gonna grow.
Yeah,
you'll be short the rest of your life, right? You have a couple girls who are like, oh, I always thought you were cute. Here's my number.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have all of those. So I get to a note from my mom, and I cried like a baby. And that's actually what I have tattooed on my chest.
Her note?
Yep.
So you never seen that before? You hadn't seen it?
I hadn't seen it since 5th grade.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely, and then I actually found my junior high one and read that eventually too. But no, I hadn't seen it since 5th grade.
That's cool. That's a nice keepsake. And I still do the same every now and again when I do find it. I'm like, oh yeah, I go through it.
Yeah, it's some funny
see
shit.
all the jokes, all the shit talking. Yeah. Good luck, you ain't gonna make it. Like damn.
right, you're gonna fail out of life. Yeah, I'm like, damn. I thought it was funny that Peter's friend told him, it's a huge party, bring your dick. Like,
yeah, that was great.
Like, duh? I don't think I've ever had been told that before. Like, you might want to bring that just in case. You know, I know you always forget it.
Yeah, make sure to pack it. I thought, I don't know if you caught this in the beginning of the movie too, when she was in the diorama, you see one of the grandma wanting to breastfeed the granddaughter. Yeah. I thought that was nuts.
Yeah, I was like, there was a lot of the nuts little scenes in the diorama if you're paying attention. Like their whole life kind of played out in the diorama scenes as well, like a lot of the important moments.
I also found it funny. I was like, how much chocolate does Charlie eat? I feel like she had a fresh bar every time that
like she tried to get to the chocolate factory, but dum.
So bad.
She's Charlie though.
I know. That's why it's worse. But yeah, and I also find it interesting. I'm like, this kid has nut allergies. She probably shouldn't be eating all this random chocolate
that she can find everywhere.
Yeah.
Another funny thing for me related to my mom again was when we were little, we didn't have any internet or video games and stuff. So she would take the flashlight and make us chase it. And they kept having that light reflection that people would follow. My mom would do that with us. Oh, y'all are making too much noise. Follow the flashlight. And our stupid asses would be running around.
Y'all were cats pretty much.
Yeah. Before it was cool to be a cat, right?
With a laser pointer. And I think my last funny thing to point out was, if I'm that son, if I'm Peter, I'm locking my bedroom door every night.
Hell yeah.
If I keep finding my mom, hovering over me, about to light my ass on fire, maybe I start locking my door, or at least change my bed a little bit, keep her on her toes.
Right. Sleep under the bed one night. Just to see. Yeah, just keep her guessing. I thought it was funny when she went to grief recovery. She didn't want to talk. And then she just told her entire business about who in her family was schizophrenic and who killed himself. And all of that stuff.
That synopsis was rough.
And she gave her whole life. She probably gave the most concise whole life story I've ever seen in like 2 minutes.
This was a story of death. Yeah, like this is a story of death, despair, and hatred. And she blurted it out like it was goddamn lyrics to a song or something.
Oh, so let me just talk about some of Annie's greatest hits. Right? When she said, "Why you staring at me with that fucking face on your face?"
With that fucking face on your face. I love that too.
Ooh, damn. She went off. She was like, wow. Then she had the whole breakdown when she had to open. She was like, I need you to open this right before the seance. Oh, when she tells Steve, you're the love of my life, and then throws the book in the fire, and he just goes up in flames. That was nuts. Yeah. That caught me completely off guard. I won't even lie.
Yeah, me too. I wasn't expecting that at all. I was like, whoa, what happened? I thought it was also great when she went, I didn't want you. Like, it just blurted out, like, whoa.
Oh, yeah. I never wanted to be your mom.
Yes,
I never wanted to be your mom. She was rough. She was right. Then she went crazy and started banging her head. So another funny is I convinced Liz to watch this because I was like, this can't be that scary. And Liz is a punk when it comes to stuff like this. So she couldn't sleep because she said, I saw the lady hanging from the wall.
Banging her
and
head.
I was like, oh my God, here we go. Go to sleep.
Oh, speaking of hanging on the walls, did you catch all of the shadow times when people were all over the house?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Like there were several scenes where people were in the shadows.
Yes, I
throughout the
did.
movie.
Yes.
Okay.
I also noticed that the naked guy at the end was the same guy from the funeral.
Good job.
Yes.
I was gonna ask that next.
Yes, I did notice that. Yes.
That was the same dude.
Yes, I did take
Yeah,
note
that
of him.
was pretty fucking creepy.
That was nuts. That ending, the last probably, 10, 15 minutes of this movie was just like, what the fuck is going on?
It escalated heavily.
Yeah, so I guess pretty much from that point, once he got lit on fire, right, then it goes to the mom just floating around in the corner in the room and just chasing him. It was nuts.
Yeah, then the piano wire.
The guy from the funeral just was naked in the closet.
Just smiling that smile on his fucking face.
But did you notice that Charlie in the beginning of the movie said, Grandma didn't want me, she wanted a boy.
Yep.
And that it all makes sense at the end of the movie.
Yeah, she said that a couple of times. She's like, she wanted me to be a boy. She's like, she wanted me to be a boy too. That, and did you also catch, and you mentioned the scene, I forgot to bring it up at the time, but that note that Annie found from her mom, it actually said, don't despair your losses. And that's something that I didn't catch in the first watch, but in the second watch I did. I was like, if she was speaking of herself, which we now know she wasn't, like, why would you say despair your losses, to someone that's reading a note about you dying?
Right.
She was already telling her essentially foreshadowing,
like
you're gonna lose some people here. Yeah.
So then a couple more, my last little synopsis is some of Steve's greatest hits. When his wife went to the movies and she came home and he was like, where were you? And she was like, at the movies. He didn't even ask her, what movie did you see? How did you like it? Anything. He was like, okay.
Yeah, that's so weird. She's like, I'm going to the movies. I'm like, who says that?
Unless
you don't just go to the movies.
Oh.
Yeah, usually you establish, I'm going to watch something. What movie are you going to watch? When is the showtime? when you're back?
And then when Peter tells his dad he's going to SAT prep, you could tell the dad's like, fuck it, I don't even care what y'all doing no more. Fuck this family. I'll go get me a new one.
They're all exhausted of each other.
Yeah, no, they were definitely exhausted of each other.
It didn't help that people kept dying,
Right, no, absolutely. That's draining. I would agree.
All right, so you want to get into our overall review?
Sure.
So I'll start. I thought the story was definitely interesting. It had great developments. There was mystery as the movie's going on. You're trying to piece things together and get all the clues kind of, but it did still keep me guessing. So I definitely give her credit for that. I think less positively, it was a little bit too long, and it's,
it was 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Yeah. And it was actually going to be a longer movie, and they cut a lot of it, for the most part. It was also original to me in how they actually built up the suspense. It was more inter-family suspense and like hatred, suffering, and drama than just like fear. You know what I mean?
Right. So quick, what do you think of the ending before I get into my review?
So I thought the ending, I would say it was a little convoluted.
There's questions still to be answered.
Yes. On second watch, things did become more apparent, that the fact that like there was a host switching bodies constantly throughout the movie.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. On first watch, the light, I wasn't as, I would say, focused when I was watching it as, for the purpose of the podcast. But the whole light switching, I didn't completely understand fully on first watch, and I did now. I thought that it did end pretty well. I thought the ending was great. And I mean great by being like, it was very eerie. I thought it wasn't your typical horror movie where the family is getting haunted or the suffering avenges themselves or makes it out alive. They actually continue to live. I'm like, no, this is pretty tragic ending for this whole thing.
Well, there's a lot for everybody. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
One of the 8 kings of hell came back.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't think it's just their family. I think that affects everyone.
Yeah, and the way that the last bit of the movie where they say, "Hey, let us inflict our will on everybody." I'm like, "Ooh, that's not good."
Right. I thought when they showed Charlie's head on the statue,
yeah,
that was a lot. That was a lot for me. The ending was intense. That was a really intense ending. I liked the way it ended. So my overall review, I thought the story was a really good story. I enjoyed the concepts in it, the story they were trying to tell. I liked that they kept you guessing. I thought, again, from my point of view, there were just some really ridiculous moments that were plot devices to move the story forward that were unnecessary. But I still enjoyed it. I liked the movie. I liked it a lot. Like you said, I thought it was a little too long, probably about 10, 20 minutes too long, 2 hours and 7. At some points, it was like, okay. But the last maybe 30 minutes was like nonstop, just nuts. action, things happening. Pretty much like I said, once the dad got lit on fire,
Yeah, it escalated from there.
it was just crazy. But they built up to it well.
Right. It didn't make it feel that much more intense because it was all happening back to back at that point.
Right. You know, I thought the ritual in the treehouse was nuts. I thought that was really interesting, an interesting concept. I struggled with how much influence they could have really had as a group on the entire situation. I know that this was the end goal, but I struggle with, you know, like how much they could have really impacted how we got here. Like they couldn't have guaranteed that Peter took the sister to a party and the sister died. Any of that stuff. That was all happenstance. So that's one of the things I was having trouble with. Other than that.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean. You mean like in terms of their occurrences.
Yeah, this was their end game. But there was a lot of luck and happenstance that led them to this end game. This was not like preordained and they had this amazing plan from beginning to end to get to where they were trying to get to. There was definitely stuff that was luck. So that was one of the things that was like, you didn't really do this. You know what I mean?
But they did kind of. That's what the electricity pole was trying to convey to you, that it wasn't happenstance.
I agree.
It appeared to be. Because then you see later on, like in the house of Joan, that she has kind of like an influence, a ritual going on for the son Peter.
Yes, to influence him and his actions, but he could have just called the ambulance.
and so that's funny you mentioned that could have also been part of the reason why he didn't
call
or whatever.
The ambulance. That's the Doctor Strange. I've seen all the outcomes.
Right, yeah.
It's the easy out.
And I noticed, like in the beginning of the movie, like, he was sweating in a lot of scenes for no reason. Like he looked physically ill in a lot of places, like a lot of scenes, like as if something was going on inside.
But did you see that before Charlie died? I noticed that a lot after Charlie died. I don't know if I saw that a lot before she died.
Probably more after Charlie died, but I don't know. I have no idea at what point they started.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting
or whatever.
To observe.
I definitely think that they, not just like, the actual physical action of like Joan interacting with them or like bumping into them. I think they were also being controlled to a certain degree
spiritually by
like rituals, spiritual incantations, etc.
You don't believe in none of that stuff, do you?
Nah, but it was the story of a family. It was a quick nod.
I do, so it's okay. Not all of it, but I have my moments.
Yeah, I believe in asarando, which if you're Dominican means pretty much someone fucking your shit up.
Okay. Yeah, you're Dominicans and you're tricky one word. Yeah. And this means 7 years ago, people died in a car accident. You're like, but you just said one word. What are you talking about?
It's like a saying in the Dominican Republic: when something goes badly for you, you could blame it on, like, if someone was like naysaying or something, you'd be like, "Oh, el masaro," which means that he basically fucked my shit up. You know,
they call that bad mind in Jamaica. He bad mind me.
Bad mind. Yeah, that's the extent of my belief in any of that.
They just needed some sage. They should have just shaged the house one time. Everything would have been fine.
Nah, I think the cult was preparing for this. If you look at it, the cult,
they had their sage blocker on.
Nah, that cult was preparing for that. These occurrences.
But there were like 7 of them.
Like, yeah, there were.
It wasn't like a ton.
Well, from what we saw, there were 7 that we saw
right.
in that little treehouse too. Maybe those were the special guys.
Right, that's the only people who could fit in the treehouse.
Yeah, right. Those parties in that photo album look lit. You know, they had.
But they probably all dead and old.
So did you notice that the grandma was queen?
Yes. And then I was wondering if Joan was her homie lover friend. But then I was like, nah, she's not her homie lover friend.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
But yeah, I think the family had actually little less control than they thought they did.
So overall, I thought it was a good movie. Would definitely recommend a watch. If you're not into scary movies, I don't know. I wouldn't even consider this a scary movie. But if you're not into like thriller action,
it's definitely disturbing. I would say it's not scary in like the.
It has its moments.
Cowering behind a blanket.
You know, you coward.
It had it had scenes that will stick that might be a little haunting.
Liz texts me, "This guy's over here cowering."
I could hear teeth chattering.
Right. Your heartbeats sound like Sasquatch feet. You know who said that?
Biggie.
Thank you. All right, everybody.
Before we get into the wrap up, I did want to add that he is releasing another nice horror movie called Midsommar.
Oh, Midsommar, yeah. Yeah, Midsommar.
Yeah, you saw the trailer?
Yeah. No, but I've heard a lot about that movie. Not heard, but I've seen the name everywhere.
same guy, and it's actually a similar cult theme, but in Sweden, so doubly creepy. No, I'm just kidding.
Those Swedes. So follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Only a Movies Pod.
Also, let us know what movies you want us to cover in the future by responding to our social media posts, leaving us comments, reaching out to us. A lot of you have, so we appreciate it. We've been having discussions with all of you, and we're very, very thankful for the love and for the listen.
So join us next time for more things that happen only in movies.